Clash of MMA strikes again with part 2 of Top 10 list with MMA fighters getting disqualified. And you won't believe what kind of situations they got themselves into this time. Like, share, subscribe, and stay until the end because we put the craziest scenario at number 1. Of course, when you're done, check out the first part of the video on our channel. Number 10. MMA fighter with takedown in boxing bout. Do you want to know what happens when an MMA fighter decides to fight under cage fighting rules in a boxing bout? In 2024 on Rocky Boxing Night, there was a boxing match between a boxer from Poland, Artur Bilostenniy, and his compatriot and MMA fighter Marcin Cianos. Midway through the second round, Cianos connected some good shots and seemed to have Bilostenniy on the verge of a knockout. However, Cianos at one point decided to stop the series of strikes, descends into a double-leg takedown, and takes down his opponent. Not only had he taken down Bilostenniy, but he sat in full mount and then hit his opponent with an elbow from the top position, which caused him to be immediately disqualified. It is known that MMA fighters go to boxing for more money, but in the desire for a winning salary, Marcin ruined his debut and neglected boxing tactics. Marcin later posted on Instagram and said that he doesn't even know what happened to him and that he can't justify his act. Number 9. Yusaku with murder attempt over Sumimura. In November 2021 at Rizin, we had the opportunity to see a murder attempt between two Japanese welterweights. Older and more experienced Ryoichiro Sumimura took on younger blood Yusaku Kinoshita in a 3-round MMA fight. The fight went quite normally, with both fighters exchanging punches, kicks and nut shots, and some ground fighting, and quality takedowns. But the fight turned into horror when Kinoshita dropped Sumimura with a straight right hand. The younger Japanese proceeded to stomp on his opponent in a sporting desire to destroy him. When Sumimura lost consciousness and the referee intervened, Kinoshita ran to celebrate the victory but was disqualified. Interestingly, the DQ was not due to merciless head stomping, although by the unified rules of MMA, they are illegal since 2017. The problem arose because Yusaku was holding on to the cage fence while jumping on his opponent's head. The resurfaced video of the fight drew the ire of fans over the controversy. Number 8. Michael Pereira knees Diego Sanchez. After the parasite Joshua Fabia entered Diego Sanchez's life, we couldn't think he could fall any lower. But the desperate victory against Michael Pereira says otherwise. Out of shape, Sanchez was in the role of a punching bag. Michel was chasing him and beat him up for 3 rounds, and then he took the chance to finish him off with his killer knees, while feeding Diego with knees, one illegal straight into the head off the grounded Sanchez. Referee Jason Herzog noticed it immediately and called for a timeout. Sanchez, an old and experienced veteran, saw his chance to win, and Joshua Fabia spoke out of him. He was declared the winner. And Michael, who served a beating for 13 minutes, was disqualified. Number 8. Jared Brooks head spikes Joshua Pacio. The rematch for the one strawweight title in 2024 between Jared Brooks and Joshua Pacio went horribly for both men. Unfortunately for the reigning champion, money wasn't that easy. Very quickly, he found himself on Joshua's back. He was climbing like a monkey, but he couldn't find the rear naked choke. Pacio went for a Kimura, and that's all he remembers. Brooks picked him up and slammed him onto the floor of the cage.
The back with defense from the Passion, who gets cracked on his head.
Unfortunately, Joshua landed headfirst, fell unconscious, and was unable to continue. Jared hastened to celebrate, but under the global MMA rule set, there are no slams to the neck, head, or spine allowed, which is why he was disqualified. Fortunately, Pacio had a clear CT scan and went on without any consequences. Can you imagine his happiness when he woke up in the hospital, only to find out he had regained the title? Number 6. Sergei Bilostenniy with punches to the back of the head. At the Bellator 294 event in April 2023, there was a heavyweight showdown between Sergei Bilostenniy and Tyrell Fortune. However, this is another one of those fights that started well, but went in the wrong direction. After Tyrell ate an attractive spinning kick, he decided to take it to the ground, which he succeeded with extra effort. Sergei spent a few minutes in an inferior position and managed to get up, but found himself with his back against the cage, where he was threatened with another takedown. Fortune took his leg and had no intention of letting it go, and the Russian showed an unusual takedown defense, which consisted of brutal elbows to the back of the opponent's head.
If I can dominate I can dominate anybody. You can't just sit there and take. No, you can't.
After about 20 elbows, he included punches, all in the forbidden part of the head. The referee only needed to see 40 illegal strikes to remember that he had the authority to stop the match and disqualify the Russian fighter. Number 5. Clash of heads and illegal knee. Fights between Artur Sawinski and Anzor Ashiev shouldn't be scheduled at all. Whenever they meet, some misfortune follows. One can be a coincidence, but twice is bad luck. Primarily in 2013 at the KSW 24 event, they had an accidental clash of heads in the first round, which is why the fight was ruled out as no contest. The rematch was scheduled for 2014, but the fight again did not go beyond the first round. Anzor and Arthur went for the knockout from the first bell, but Anzor was the one who wanted to win by any means necessary. After he intercepted a flying knee from Sawinski with a straight right hand, he continued the attack with an illegal knee, while both knees of the opponent were on the ground. Ashiev tried to separate his opponent from consciousness, but separated himself from victory. He was disqualified for an illegal blow and took out his frustration by biting the ropes of the ring. Number 4. Igor Severino bites Andre Lima. Speaking of biting, Igor da Silva Severino will show you how to destroy the opportunity of a lifetime and an undefeated record in a unique way. With 8 wins and 8 finishes, da Silva came to his UFC debut to show that knockout and submission are not the only ways to end a fight. His opponent was Andre Lima, also an undefeated fighter. The first round of the flyweight fight was entertaining, with both fighters going toe-to-toe. However, in the second round, the fight turned into a vampire party. As fighters stood in the clinch against the cage, Severino bit Lima on the biceps, and therefore got disqualified. This was a rarely seen scenario in MMA world, especially in the UFC. The young talent got a DQ and released from the promotion, and his opponent got another win on his resume, a $50,000 bonus from President White, and a new tattoo to immortalize this unique moment. Number 3. Drew Chatman, DQ via front flip. We have another debutant on the list who ended his career the moment it started. Drew Chatman left behind an amateur record of 7 wins and 5 finishes without a single loss. He had a prosperous professional MMA career smiling at him, but decided to destroy it against fellow debutant Irvins Ayala at the LFA 36 event. In the middle of the second round, Irvins caught Chatman's kick and swept him off the feet. When attempting to strike a grounded opponent, Ayala's face landed on Drew's shin and knocked himself out. Instead of celebrating his victory like a normal human being, Chatman decided to go for a front flip off Irvin's back. He got DQ'd and suspended for 90 days by CSAC, and $500 pay was withheld. Chatman, known as the Honorable, didn't quite live up to his nickname, but at least he admitted his mistake and offered a sincere apology. But he never returned to the cage after this. Number 2. Ilmiyamin Dzahavatov holding for too long. The Kazakhstan promotion Alash Pride FC hosted a fight between Ilmiyamin Dzahavatov and Ruslan Sariev at the 87th event. The two had several good exchanges in the first round, and then in the second, Dzahavatov came in with increased pressure, which Ruslan punished with a couple of sharp hooks. It was Sariev who started to put pressure on his wounded opponent. Ilmiyamin returned fire and both started taunting each other, pouring entertainment into a fight. With all the attacks, Ruslan used up his gas tank but wasn't able to finish the opponent, who resisted firmly. He fed him with a flurry of punches and was so close to the finish, but Dzahavatov got away with a good old mouthpiece drop. It can happen to anyone, but he did it again to save himself the second time. The fight was stopped, and when the referee signaled the continuation, Ruslan was done and out of gas. To make matters worse, he slipped while throwing a kick, and Dzahavatov used the opportunity to take a guillotine. He could have made the comeback of the year if he had been smarter, but instead he refused to react to his opponent's tap-out and the referee's separation. He was disqualified instead and considered the dirty methods. The victory rightfully went to Ruslan Sariev. Number 1. Ali Bagov and Rashid Magomedov double DQ. And of course, we leave the best for last, as always. The quarterfinals of the 2022 ACA Lightweight Grand Prix tournament should have been a big event for the Russian crowd, but the fight had an incredible finish that you won't believe until you see it. Two veterans of the sport, Ali Bagov and Rashid Magomedov, had over 70 matches together, and then they met at the tournament and behaved as if they were fighting for the first time. For an incredible 20 minutes, they hugged against the cage and rolled on the floor, turning the MMA fight into a boring grappling match. Before the start of the fifth round, ACA President Mairbek Kasiev appeared in the cage and made the unconventional move. Showing his displeasure due to inactivity, he disqualified both fighters and made a legendary statement to the live audience.
Это вторая лига мира. Когда я это говорю, вы каждый раз упрекаете нас.
The ACA League is not a kindergarten, it's a serious league. That's it. Disqualified. That's it. I've had it. I got no nerve for this.